Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us at the MarketSite studio in New York, we have the CEO of Truflation, an economic data aggregator serving independent, unbiased, real-time data on-chain and off-chain. Stefan joins me from SmartCon 2022, taking place in New York City, which brings together industry luminaries from Web 2 and Web 3, including top thought leaders, researchers, builders, and more. Stefan, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to MarketSite.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Tell us about Truflation and how it works.
Yeah. So basically what we do is we aggregate real-world data and we put that on-chain as it impacts a basket of items that people purchase on a regular basis. And we then calculate what is inflation. We started off with that, and subsequently we've built out a number of sub-indexes associated with that.
What do you believe are the problems with the current CPI metrics?
So at the moment, well, a couple of problems. One is it's pretty archaic in terms of the model, in terms of how they track. It's done on a panel basis, so they do a survey out to a panel of users, and then it's also done manually. So they have 477 individuals that go and track items on a grocery store, and they can only track 60,000 items. We track 18 million items. We go online and track from 50 different sources. We pull in all of this information, and that's how we sort of do it. And so we're trying to just bring a modern approach, ready for the 21st century, with modern tools to the world.
Something we can certainly use in today's environment for sure. What differentiates what Truflation is doing?
So number one, the breadth and the depth that I mentioned earlier. So we track 18 million items versus the 60,000 items that the government or the departments or other sources track. Number two is we do it on a daily basis. So we update the data daily. And then lastly, basically, we put that on chain and provide these tools in the dashboard for everybody to use at any point in time.
What does that mean for users?
So what does that mean? You basically see the true CPI, we call it. So what is real inflation as it impacts us when we go to a gas station, when we go to the grocery store, when we try to fill up our basket, our shopping basket, number one. Number two is, how do I then protect myself? What products do I need to buy and purchase in order to hedge myself against my loss in purchasing power?
So what are some of the real world applications that you're seeing being built on Truflation?
So there are two sort of categories. One is in the real world, so as we see today on Wall Street, people are looking to our data to be able to better forecast what the outcome of inflation is. So we're building out capabilities to be able to enhance that, support that using AI technologies, because we've got 10 years of historical data. How do we then find patterns? How do we then identify better forecasting capabilities and prediction capabilities? That's on the real world. In the crypto DeFi world, we're seeing a different set of innovation happening. We're seeing products being built that are outside of the US, because mainly the US economy is still the leading economy, and 87% of worldwide trade is done in US dollars. So a lot of external developers around the world are building lottery tickets based on inflation information. They're building a flat coin. So there's a product called nuon.fi. They're building a flat coin, which is a coin that is pegged to the cost of living. So it's tied to that, and it deviates based on inflation from the US dollar, and ultimately at the end of a year it would be $1.10 if the inflation is 10 cents.
That's so interesting to hear other ways that it's being used when you would just expect it to be for, economists, the Fed and so forth, but to see it being used in the DeFi space is pretty cool. What's next for Truflation?
So for us, we want to grow more data sets. So today we just announced bringing more pricing information and indexing onto the Truflation dashboard. So you can actually now find commodity pricing, precious metal pricing, you've got sentiment pricing. All of that has been put, sentiment data is all put on chain and available through the Truflation dashboard. We've got a tool set where it's much easier to discover the kind of indexes that we have. How do we then prepare them? Here's the API key to access the data associated with that index, and here's an integrated payment solution. So it's much easier to access. How do we get then now, with that easier access and discoverability, how do we get more participants to innovate and create innovative new products like a Nuon or like an Inflado on Truflation?
Interesting. All right. We appreciate the insight, Stefan. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.